Hey everyone, Shadow Rockets here, and today I have some gameplay for you with Tier 1 Productions, my partner in YouTube crime, and I'm playing with my other RA friend Matt. However, this is going to be a completely different video, and I'm kind of going to rush into it, and I'm very sorry about that, but I'm going to give you a forewarning that this is a darker topic, and it is designed to maybe get you thinking about something. This might be troubling some of you, this might not, but I think it's thought-provoking and it deserves the attention. So I have had some of my very close friends and just people I hold dear to me have this issue, so it does mean a lot to me. So without further ado, sorry I'm kind of saying it's kind of very awkward for me to talk about this. I haven't done a self-help video in a very long time, but without further ado, I'm going to talk a little bit about self-worth today. Now this, you may have heard it called self-esteem or self-value, but it is generally just how you see yourself. And it has been described, or how you value yourself as well, it has been described to me as, to these people, they feel that it's like putting a cover on an ugly chair to make it look pretty and still thinking that it's ugly, or still feeling that it's ugly. You know that it's ugly on the inside, and no one else can tell you otherwise, even though they think it's pretty. They just see that outer cover. So having low self-worth really affects, obviously, how you see yourself, but also how you interact with others. It affects eye contact, maybe not even being able to make eye contact for a suspended amount of time due to maybe thinking that those people notice imperfections in you. It affects who you surround yourself with. Maybe you don't hang out with who you consider a cool crowd or a great crowd because you feel that you're not worth hanging out with those people, and it even affects your choice of clothing and all sorts of small decisions in life. Now, I'm going to get pretty in-depth here, so bear with me. This might crawl over into 2 videos. I'm hoping not, though. So this is caused by many events, particularly in your upbringing, and I'm going to get to why later, but it is definitely caused by events in your childhood mostly. That's where it really affects you. So some common causes could be systematic punishment, neglect or abuse by your parents, failing to meet parental standards, failing to meet peer group standards, so many things. Being on the receiving end of people's stress or maybe even their distress, belonging to a family or social group that people are prejudiced towards, being a minority, or being the odd one out in a social group or school or your home. So there's also an absence of praise, a warmth, affection, or interest. Just people generally not liking you or just not expressing it. Maybe they don't express it in the way that you want them to express it. So all of these things can kind of cause you to have beliefs about yourself. Often you'll see them as fact, but honestly, if you think about it, everything that you think about yourself, how good you look or how funny you are or how smart you are, these are all opinions. Now, as we grow up, these opinions are kind of forced upon us. I don't want to say forced upon us, but they take the shape of voices of people who are significant to us. And so if you haven't had people around you in your life that have been positive nonstop, then you could have some of these negative feelings towards yourself. And obviously, these conclusions that you make about yourself or these beliefs that you make about yourself, you're going to hold in high regard because they're yours. And because you think them all the time, or because you are the one thinking them, you'll think them more often or you'll see them more often. So you take them to be more true than they might be. So you might criticize yourselves in sharp tones from these other people, maybe your parents, or make comparisons with other people as the same as they did. So like racism, that's kind of how racism is quote unquote taught. Your parent may never say that, or maybe never try to beat into your brain that maybe black people are terrible people, but they may have made references to that, and that's how you grew up racist. Our experiences, they create foundation. They create a pretty strong foundation for the conclusions about ourselves. So what you see, what you do in life, that is really going to be what's affecting your conclusions that you make about yourself. However, these conclusions, like I said before, are usually formed in childhood, and so they're usually biased, obviously, because it's about you, so you think it means more than it does, and they're usually inaccurate because it's from a child's view. It's going to be a childish perception of yourself. So try to think about that next time you maybe have one of these thoughts. So once these conclusions are in place, it's so hard to question it because you're constantly thinking about it. And it's due again to that self-bias, giving added weight to anything that you personally think. We're creatures that don't like to be wrong. So we're obviously going to think that anything that we think is correct. But I'm going to move into two types of these biases. And these biases, these self-biases, are going to be working together nonstop in your life. So there's biased perception and biased interpretation. And so biased perception is being swift to spot anything that fits with your negative ideas about yourself, and you're screening out anything that contradicts them. So you focus on what you do wrong and maybe ignore what you do right. So that's obviously a problem, and that's kind of a big one in the world today. And then biased interpretation means you distort things or distort the meanings you attach to what you experience. So even if it's a positive experience, you're going to see something negative. So like when someone compliments your appearance, you'll probably think that they thought you were unattractive before, or that they're just trying to be nice. So this obviously, I mean, everyone experiences these a little bit in your life. Maybe even if you're just feeling down one day, but you can't let those affect your way of life. But I'm gonna keep going. I'm not gonna try to beat this into your brain just yet. I'm gonna tell you how these work together. These will always be working together in your life or in these people's lives to make you anticipate things to go badly. So you're more sensitive to any sign that they're turning the way that you expected. So if you see, maybe you're having a great day, but it rains, and so you take that as, oh, this day was not meant to be great. I knew it. But also, no matter how things turn out, you'll likely interpret them negatively, making memories of ongoing experiences negatively biased as well. So that just keeps building on the negativity in your life so that you can't have positive memories. Negative beliefs about yourself are just like prejudice. They're beliefs that don't take into account all the facts and rely on these self-biases evidence for support. So you're relying on poor evidence, but it's just like racism. I mean, you're nitpicking the tiniest little negative details and making those huge. All of these, though, lead to the development of rules for living, as I'm doing the air quotes right now because I have done some serious research on this now. These rules enable you to function in the world as long as you follow them. For example, your general conclusion of yourself is you're stupid. So the rule might be better not try, or better to not try, I should say, than to fail. So that's obviously going to worsen your conclusion. You're just going to not try on things, and things are going to keep going worse for you. You're not going to do well on an exam. You didn't try, so you're going to think you're even stupider, and then you're not going to try on the next one. You're going to keep thinking that. But this is going to be the first self-help video where I want to talk about beating this problem, and that's because this is such a near and dear problem to my heart. Like I said, it affects some people very close to me. The trick is you have to break the cycle, and I'm going to hope that that doesn't sound cliche to you because it's so true. And experts recommend you use cognitive behavior therapy, or CBT, and that's because that focuses on your thoughts, beliefs, and opinions, but also provides a practical approach. Sorry about that, I can't talk. This is so much in my mind. I'm just trying to get my words out. It provides a practical approach for changing those beliefs by changing your behavior. So maybe thinking about how you act in certain situations, and then thinking, how does this affect my thought process? So, like I said, try new ways of behaving around people, or maybe try to find new people to behave differently around, and take note. Just take note mentally, or even on a sheet of paper. I don't know, get however serious you want to get. Take note of how it affects your thoughts. This should help you to notice self-critical thinking, stop it on the spot, counter the bias against yourself by focusing on your skills and not your downfalls, and even change the rules of living that keep the bad cycle going. So you really want to end the biased conclusions about yourself. And I feel like that's going to help you find happiness in the world. And don't try to reject the people that are trying to help you out in life. There are always going to be people out there to listen. So I strongly encourage all of you to talk about whatever may be bothering you. And even if you're the only person that problem has ever happened to, which you may very well be, that just empowers you all the much more to inform society that this is a problem and it should be fixed. Thank you for listening. This has been Shadow Rockets.